guys to another video here with Angel B Designs. I'm Angel B. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to convert an SVG file into a bling file so that you can bling it instead of using a vinyl, if that makes sense. Okay, so I originally got this file which says see the able, not the label. My youngest son was diagnosed with autism back in October, so I'm definitely, rocking all the gear. But this is a regular SVG file that you can use vinyl with. So what I'm doing in this video is I'm going to convert some of the pieces of this into bling or rhinestone template so that we can go ahead and use hotfix rhinestones with them instead of vinyl. Now, I did make that file in regular vinyl as well. I use puff vinyl. I don't know if you guys can see, but I did it both with puff vinyl and then I also did it with rhinestones. Okay, so in this video, I'm not going to show you how I did the puff on this shirt specifically. We're only going to be doing the bling in this video. Mainly, I just want to show you how you can take this template and break it up and then turn the separate pieces into rhinestone templates so that you can brush in your rhinestones and then make it a rhinestone file versus the SVG. I mean, the SVG is still, the rhinestone template is still the SVG file, but I'm going to show you how to turn it into a rhinestone file. Okay? All right. So this is what we're doing today, guys. So go ahead and stick around. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and start out on the computer here. I am in Silhouette Studio, which is the business edition. Now, in order to use the rhinestone panel, I do believe you have to have something more than the free edition. You may be able to use the one that's underneath the business edition. I'm not 100% sure, but I am using the paid business edition of Silhouette Studio for today's project. And then this is the SVG template that we're going to go ahead and turn into rhinestones. So I don't necessarily create the rhinestone templates from scratch just yet. I'm still practicing, but I am getting pretty good at being able to turn SVG files into rhinestone templates, which is what we're going to do today. So the first thing I need to do is I need to size my image before I turn it into a rhinestone template, because once you turn the file into rhinestones, you don't want to mess with the sizing because that messes with the holes. If you mess with the holes, then it gets hard for you to be able to brush in your stones. So you want to make sure that you size the whole file first. Okay, so I'm just going to select everything and then I'm going to go ahead and size the image. Now, I did already do this, so the file that I already have may be a little different from the one we're doing now because I did already do this and it's currently cutting out right now. But I still wanted to go through the process to show you guys so that you can see how to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and make this file about 11 inches. Okay, this is going to go on a large t-shirt. It is for me. This is going to be about, like I said, about 11 inches. That's pretty good for any size shirt that you need to use. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do, so this part here, the see the not the, I'm going to actually leave that and I'm going to use glitter HTV for this part. The rest of this is going to be rhinestones, but then this part here is going to be glitter HTV. So the design is going to be a little bit of a mix between glitter HTV and the rhinestones. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move that off to the side for now. I'm going to start with this first yellow piece here. What I'm going to do is go over, I'm just going to select it. This file was actually pretty easy to work with. This blue word able was the only one I had to kind of manipulate, and I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to select the yellow, first yellow puzzle piece. We're going to go over here to our rhinestone panel. I'm going to be using 10SS. You want to make sure that you have the size selected that you need. If you need 10SS, you want to make sure you select 10SS and not 6SS. The sizes are different, okay? So I have my 10SS selected, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push. This would be an outline. I think I ended up going with the linear fill. Yeah. So this would be nothing. This would be just an outline. This would be a linear fill where the dots kind of go in a line. And then this is going to be a radial fill where the dots are a little bit more random and not so in a line. 9 times out of 10, I typically like how linear fills look over the radial fills. I guess it depends on the image. It really does depend on the image. If the image has more curves in it, then the radial fill may look better. But for this one, because we have puzzle pieces with kind of, you know, sharper corners, the linear fill looks better to me. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that. It's perfect. I'm not going to touch it. That actually worked out really good. Same with the second puzzle piece here, the red one. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Make sure 10SS is selected, and I'm going to select linear fill because it just comes out kind of perfect. We don't have to touch it. Now, as far as the spacing, this is the default spacing here for me, which is 0.039. Now, sometimes I will adjust it if I want the dots to be closer or further apart. For today's project, so far, this is a good spacing for both of these. Now I'm going to go ahead and select this word label. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but for whatever reason on this SVG file on the A's, there's no like space cut out for the little part of the A that should be cut out, which kind of makes it look like you missed a weeding part, right? Like how it is on the B. So I'm going to have to delete some dots, but it's fine. I'll show you how to do it. So we're going to go ahead and select the word label, same thing, 10SS, and we're going to select linear fill. Now that looks really good to me. I'm not going to change anything. The only thing I'm going to do is delete a couple of dots on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just so that we can see. And I think I just want to delete maybe a couple of dots. The first thing you have to do is you have to release the stones, okay? So you're going to select it, and then you're going to go ahead and release the stones, and that'll make it so that you can select each individual dot. So I'm just going to go in and delete a few of them. I just want to kind of create that hole that's kind of needed for the A to make it look like it's an A. And you just kind of want to play around with it until you get it the way that you like. Again, I did already do this. I don't remember if this is exactly how I did it, but that looks fine to me. Maybe even here, add in 2 dots. And the way you would do that is you would just select a dot. And if you wanted to just kind of, you know, move them over a little bit and adjust it, you can. You would just select and you can duplicate the dot. If you just need a couple of dots, doing it this way is okay. If you need like a bunch of dots, then you can probably, you know, select this whole L and duplicate just the L, and then you can use the dots to place it how you need to. Okay, and then I zoom back out and I look at it again just to see how it looks. I think that looks okay. So I'm going to leave that how it is. I'm going to move this out the way, and then I'm going to select all of the dots. And we're going to group them back together so that we can move the one piece, okay? And now we're gonna work with our blue file here. Now I'm not resizing anything because we already had the size that we wanted. So you wanna make sure you're not making this bigger or smaller. If you need to work with it or look at it or adjust it, make sure that you are zooming in and zooming out, but you're not actually like resizing this. You don't want to resize this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Same thing, 10SS, and I'm going to select linear fill, okay? Now I did adjust this just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in, okay? The only thing with this that I didn't particularly like was like these gaps here. And then here and on the E. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of, actually the first thing I need to do, as you can see here, is one big solid piece. I have to release the stones. So the first one I'm going to work with is going to be the A, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. So to do that, what I did was I just kind of moved some of these stones over like this. I don't know if you can hear my cutting machine in the background, but if you hear like a noise in the background, it's my Romeo. Like I said, I did already do this file. So my Romeo is currently cutting it out right now. Okay. So now that part just kind of looks cleaned up for me a little bit. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna delete, some of these dots so that our A kind of has that space that it's supposed to have. And then I'm gonna zoom out, make sure you zoom out and you look at it so that you can see how it looks, okay? The A looks good to me, so I'm gonna leave it at that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and zoom back in and we're gonna work with the B. So these little gaps here, you could leave it like that if you wanted to, but I wanna add a little bit more stones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these dots here and I'm just holding down my shift button and I'm gonna move them all over and just kind of line them up with the other dots there. Now with them all still selected, I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate. And as you can see, it duplicated another line of stones for me in the spot that I wanted it to be in. So now I can just go ahead and kind of adjust them accordingly. You want to make sure your dots are not touching, okay? Because that will give you kind of a messy template. Same thing for this side. I'm going to select them and scoot them over, right click and duplicate. And then it puts them right in the line that I wanted them to be in. As we can see, none of them are touching and that looks good. Now I'm going to do it for the bottom part here. We're going to move it over, line it up, right click and duplicate. And then again, we just want to make sure none of the dots are touching. That looks good. And then for the last section here, we just want to make sure they're all highlighted. Scoot them over, right click and duplicate, and then click away. Make sure that they're not touching. They look good. And I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out and we're gonna look at our B. So now the B looks more filled into me. That looks better. It matches this B that's down here. Because as you can see, this B filled in by itself. I don't know why this one didn't. This has more, like this only has 3 rows of dots, where now this one has 4. But for whatever reason, this one just looked more gappy to me, and I didn't really like that. So, okay. So basically what I did for the rest of this file was I did that exact same thing with the L. So I'm gonna click on top of this dot here, and I'm literally just going to, I'm just going to drag straight down to highlight all of the dots. We're gonna move them over. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna duplicate. Now, as you can see, all the holes are touching. We don't want that. So we got to move them over and align them so that they are not touching. And then we click away and the L is done. Now, this template is easy to do, okay? Not all templates are going to be easy like this. This SVG file actually was a really easy one to work with, but again, like I said, not all of them are gonna be easy like this, okay? Same thing, we're just gonna, uh-oh, that one didn't move the way it was supposed to. Okay, we just wanna make sure it's over. And we're gonna duplicate and we wanna make sure the holes are not touching. All right. And then I did the same thing for that. But for the sake of time, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out Everything looks good. Do the last part here if you're doing the same template. What I'm going to do is go ahead and select everything, and we're going to group it back. And now we're going to put the pieces together, okay? Just to make sure that the whole template looks good. This goes, I believe this goes here like that. This goes right underneath. And that went, I think, here. Yeah, it went there like that. Okay. So that looks really good to me. Now we're going to go ahead and highlight everything and group the whole file. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as an SVG, and I'm going to import it into my Leonardo design space because I'm going to use it to cut. I'm going to cut it with my Siser Romeo. You can do this and then import it to Cricut if you have a Cricut machine. This is another reason you need the business edition, because you need to be able to save this as an SVG file so that if you're not cutting with a Silhouette cutter, you can be able to export it from Silhouette Studio so that you can use your Siser Romeo or your Juliet or your Cricut or whatever, you know, whatever cutter you're using. You need the business edition to be able to save it as an SVG. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I already have this saved and cut out, like I said, but I'm going to go ahead, get it cut. We're going to weed it and we're going to brush it in and press it and see how, you know, everything came out. So I will meet you guys over at my craft table. All right, guys, so I do have my template all cut out and I do have some holes still inside of it. So what I'm going to do is just place it on a light grip mat or a standard grip mat. I use my brayer tool to kind of push the holes down, and then I'm going to go ahead and remove my template from the mat, and then that typically gets the rest of the holes out for me if they don't all cut out with my Siser Romeo. I think once I did this, I did have like a few that I had to hand pick out, but it really wasn't that many. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now I do use my Siser Romeo to go ahead and cut my flock. The settings I use is 13 speed and 74s. I think the reason that all my holes didn't cut out this time, I think I forgot to clean off my blade. So it didn't, you know, if you don't clean off your blade, it doesn't cut your holes all the way through. So make sure when you are cutting flock, you clean your blade after every time, because it will get all like gunked up. Okay, so for this template, I'm going to be using citrine AB for one puzzle piece. I'm going to use cyan for the other puzzle piece, and then I'm using Capri and Emerald for the words able and label. And I mean, these stones brushed in very beautifully. As you can see here, I did speed it up a little bit, but not too much. It's only at 2.0 versus 1.0, so I didn't speed it up too much. But as you can see, they are brushing in very easily. It didn't really take me long at all to get these brushed in. I also cut my glitter HTV with my Siser Romeo. I am using black Siser glitter HTV, which you see here. I'm just pressing on a Make Market shirt that I got from Michaels. The cotton one is 100% cotton, Make Market with Siser black glitter HTV. And then I am pressing these stones at 350 degrees for 12 seconds. So the first round of the glitter I pressed at 350 for, it was the same 12 seconds, but because I'm gonna press this multiple times, the glitter is gonna get the amount of press that it needs. I'm gonna go ahead and press Able, which is in the color Capri. And then I'm also gonna press Label as well, which is in the color Emerald. Now you guys, you're supposed to press this at 350 for 12 seconds, your stones. Now, when I was first doing this, I forgot to change because I pressed Puff Final right before this, and I forgot to change when I turned my heat press on, I forgot to change it to 350. So it's supposed to be 350 for 12 seconds. It was on 12 seconds, but it was not at 350. It was at like 315. And my emerald stones would not stick because I did not have the right temperature. So you're gonna see me struggle with these emerald stones for a second because they wouldn't adhere to the shirt because I wasn't using the right temperature. But once I realized what I was doing wrong and that my heat press wasn't actually at temperature, I did go ahead and adjust it to 350 degrees and my emerald stones stuck just fine. But make sure you are using the correct settings. That's why I'm pressing the emerald again, because I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are these not sticking to the shirt? But it was because my heat press, I didn't realize my heat press wasn't actually at 350. That's what the problem was. And here I'm like really like losing my mind because I could not figure out why those stones would not stick to the shirt. But now I'm pressing my next puzzle piece, which is in the color cyan. At this point, I did realize that my heat press was not to temperature, so I turned it up and I waited for it to get to 350 degrees. And as you can see, the other stones are pressing just fine. And then this is citrine AB, which is the final piece. Alright guys, so I was having a little issue with my emerald, but I got it together and this is the final product. So we have the black glitter for the words, we got citrine AB, we got capri, cyan, and emerald. I absolutely love this design. I love how it came out. I think I might do it again with all AB colors. I'm trying to think what I could use for this because the light cyan AB kind of gives off a pinky vibe. So I don't know. I may have to stick with the regular cyan. I'm trying to think what I could use. But I do want to use, I have an aquamarine AB. That would be really pretty here. And then the emerald AB kind of gives off a blue color, so I don't know if I'll be able to use the emerald AB. But here is the final product. I absolutely love how it came out. But I just wanted to show you guys how you can take an SVG file and kind of convert it into a bling file if that's what you want to do. I think I am going to start selling this shirt, this design on this shirt. Check my description box for my Etsy shop link. I think by the time I post this video, this t-shirt will be available for purchase in my Etsy shop. It's not going to be any customizations or anything. It's going to be just like this with these colors, okay? The black glitter. Or if you want this on a black shirt, I'll switch the letters to white glitter. All right, but that's all I have for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Y'all, my emerald, I don't know what is going on with these. I gotta fix it. But that's all I have for this video, guys. Until next time. Bye.